Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. Happy 2026 and welcome to a conversation with, and I am your humble host, Floyd Marshall Jr. And as always, I am joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Okima T. Moore, is in the building. And today we have a very special guest, the first guest of 2026.
2026.
And I am so excited to have this amazingly beautiful young lady here with us today. I met her a couple of months ago at the Me Show Film Festival. Cori Robinson, singer, actress, and producer. And I'm just going to give you guys a small background on this amazing young lady. Cori is a multifaceted artist with accolades as a singer, actress, writer, and filmmaker. At 17, she became the youngest performer to accompany the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's annual Live, Gifted, and Black program with narrative, classical style singing, and dramatic reading. Cori has gone on to work with companies such as Opera Ebony, and being featured at New York Blues Note Jazz Club, the Apollo Theater, and other esteemed venues, as well as having worked with some of the industry's top artists. Some of her credits include television and film productions such as Saturday Night Live, The Corner, As the World Turns, Homicide, Life on the Street, Rescue Me, The Head of State. She is also, now I hope I get this word right, an Delco award-winning stage actress performing in numerous theater productions, including off-Broadway and regional theater. And currently, Cori is wearing the hat of executive producer for the documentary I Was Born This Way, about the life and legacy of singer, minister, social justice pioneer, and her uncle, Carl Bean. So, without further ado, welcome, Cori. Cori, conversation with. How are you?
I'm great. It's always weird when I hear all that stuff coming back and be like, yeah, I know that is me, but that's me. Like, okay. So, yeah, I'm good though. Thank you for having me. It's always good to see my sister, Okima. Thank you.
Hi, baby.
Hey, sweetheart.
Yeah, so a little background. We were all just at Me Show Film Festival back in October, and we were listening to a panel.
Yeah.
This is how me and Cori met. We were listening to a panel, and ladies and gentlemen, I am very big on turning your phone off when you're in panels or if you're in auditions, because I believe in respecting the panelists and the moderator of the panel. And when you hear your phones going off, that's very annoying to me. So we're sitting there in the audience. Now, I hadn't seen her yet, and the phone goes off, right? Okay, your phone goes off. You may have forgotten to turn your phone off. That's okay. I'm gonna give you that. This brother gonna end up answering his phone.
I was like, didn't he answer the phone?
He
In the
answered
middle
the
of
phone while the panel's going on, and then he wants to have a full-blown conversation while the panel's going on. So I look over and I see Cori looking at me laughing because I guess she saw the look on my face.
Because your face got subtitles.
I'm like, but we're gonna keep it G-rated. So I'm a little upset that this gentleman is just disrespecting the room. But then when I look over, I see this stunningly beautiful woman smiling, and I'm saying to myself, well, damn, who that? I'm like, oh my God. So okay,
let's be clear, family. Yes, you can be married. You can be married and faithful and
Absolutely.
still be not dead.
No.
Y'all see her.
Because I'm happily married, but I say, damn.
But he is married, not
said,
dead.
Who that?
Because I just don't, folks get crazy. Folks get crazy. Folks act up.
Yeah. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, once I started talking with her and found out about her film being in the film festival, and I'm very curious about people, so I looked her up and saw all the amazing work that she was doing, and has done. I said, ooh, we got to get her on the show. So I reached out to Okima and I said, I want to bring Cori Robinson on the show. And she's like, oh, that's my sister. I said, well, even better. So here we are.
I know Floyd is tired of me being like, that's my sister.
But that's because everybody loves you. So, she got a
Listen,
lot of
I love
sisters.
almost everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we met, ladies and gentlemen. That's the origin story. So
Cori, how did we meet? Like, it was so long ago. I don't even remember exactly how. I don't know if we were in a show together.
We were at a table read together years
Okay.
ago, and we met.
And we're talking like a good 10 plus years ago, like probably more than that.
Yeah, Attica Torrance was the one who brought us together at a table read.
Okay, so this had to be like 10, 12 so years ago.
Yeah.
When we were both 25.
Of course. Girl, I'm still 25.
Okay. I am not, child. Perimenopause reminds me every day that I am not 25.
True that.
Okay, well, that's a conversation I know nothing about.
You got a wife. You might not know personally.
Not personally, but yes, I do know about that conversation. But you know what? Let's get this thing started. One of the things that I always like to ask my guests is how they got started in the business. So, Cori, how did you get started in the business?
Well, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and
I'm on DMV.
Yeah, so my mama will tell you I was singing before I could even talk. And so my grandma she was a daycare provider for 48 years, and she used to put on different little programs in school, and her daycare. And so when I got to elementary school, then I thought, I want to carry this on. And then when I was in the 4th grade, I was picked amongst other students up in the Baltimore City. They got to, please forgive me, is that bothering you all in the background?
What?
No.
Okay, never mind. As long as you don't hear, we're good. Somebody's doing a practice next door. I had a student right before this, so anyway. Sorry. But yeah, so I got to go to New York in the 4th grade. And part of the program was we got to see I got to see my very first 2 Broadway plays. It was the original Fences on Broadway with James Earl Jones, Courtney Vance, Mary Alice, and a very young Tatiana Ali. And so I was like, wow. So to be 10 years old and watching this, it's just amazing. I would ask anybody texting me to please stop because it's dinging on my phone. But
we don't hear that either.
Yeah.
We don't hear that either.
Okay, great. No worries. But so that's when I really got the bug for like theater. And then the next day we started Starlight Express. And that was a whole different dynamic with musical theater, and there were all the whole roller skates. The play was on roller skates. So it was just like, yeah, this is what I really want to do. And when I was 12, I got to be a part of my very first chorus. And so it just went from there. So when I was 17, I was picked out of some students, and again, the city. And David Lockington. I was originally supposed to be doing just a narrative reading with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. And David Lockington, who was our conductor at the time, heard me singing in my dressing room. And he's like, why aren't you singing with us? I was like, I was picked to, just read. He says, no, I have something I want to try out. And so what he did was, there was a story called The Green-Tailed Mouse, which ironically, James Earl Jones had narrated in a whole different show. So it was like a full circle moment for me. So he changed some of the words to more lyrical style singing. So I got to sing and read. So it was like, wow, it was amazing. Yeah. And then the rest is history.
Okay. Now, I did some research.
Yeah.
And when you talk about year 17, you talked about the fact that as a younger child, your mindset was you could do anything. But then here come the outside voices saying, well, maybe you can't do that. Or, I don't know why you want to do that. Who said you could do that? And, you said that for a while, those outside voices became the main influence, and it kind of made you dim your light and lessen yourself. So can you briefly talk about that?
Oh, you really did, Dick.
I told you, girl, I don't play. I do not play.
I know. Well, yes. What happened was when I was in middle school, I was a part of a program called Twigs, which is a preparatory class to get you started at the Baltimore School for the Arts, which is where Jada Pinkett Smith went, Tupac. So I was like, I'm going there. That's what I want to do. And unfortunately, I had a relative who told me that I couldn't sing, I shouldn't sing, and you're very smart. You need to just go on and to a math and engineering high school. I was really good in math. And so, I just, for a long time, I just didn't think I was good enough. And I said, maybe I'll just do whatever the family wants me to do. But I was always still in the background doing little things here, like little choruses here. That's why I was even shocked I was picked to do the program at the Baltimore Symphony Hall, the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, because I was trying to just like play the back a lot because I could still do what I love to do, but kind of like hide in the background. But it was one of those things where God, universe, whatever you respect, was like, no, we got to pull her out. So when I was 18, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's just a lot going on beside me, and I'm going to get these.
No, you're fine.
I booked this room, so it would be like loud next door. But anyway, I got an opportunity to work with the Queen Latifah show during her first talk show run. And I was like, this is my opportunity to finally get out and just learn and just go live my dream. So it was a Tuesday. And I told my Uncle Carl, who happened to be home for holiday, because he lives in LA, but he would come to Baltimore for holiday. And I said, Sunday I have to leave because I want to go work. And Latifah said, where do you want to stay? Where are you going to live? What are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I just want to get out of here. I want to go live my life because I'm just not happy anymore. And I didn't want to live in regret because I'd seen how that played out in my own family. And people turn to things to numb pain. And I was like, I don't want that. So the Tuesday, we packed up my uncle's car, and we went to New York, and the rest is history. So, yeah.
You know what though? You end up at the Y because no plan, no nothing. I told you, I did.
Wow.
I find your origin story so fascinating because I think people really need to understand when they see what they consider a finished product. They really don't understand all of the ingredients that went into the making of that product. So the fact that you said, hey, I'm going to take this leap because your uncle was like, where you going? You're like, I don't know nobody. I don't have anywhere to stay, but I'm going. And you end up at the Y, which is unbelievable.
Which a lot of people forget is a housing structure. And it is for housing. They think about the gym, they think about after school programs, but a lot of people forget or just don't associate the fact that the YMCA, the YWCA started as temporary housing for people.
Yeah.
Transient housing.
Yeah, because that's the thing. So, for those who've seen the film, and I guess we'll get into that, but Uncle Carl, he also from Baltimore and went to New York, and he landed on Broadway and done other things. And it's saying again, he was like, "Where are you going to go? Who do you know? What are you going to do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll just go and figure it out." And he said, "Well, why don't you sign up for some women's dormitories?" They were like waiting lists a mile long. Again, this was a Tuesday, and I decided to move that Sunday. It wasn't even a full week. And that's when he said to me, "Well, there's always the YMCA." So that's how that came about. And we the third week of June. So this month makes my anniversary. I've been here in New York for 26 years. And it was snowing on the ground. And, my grandmother was about to have all kinds of fits because she's like, why are you leaving? Especially this was during the year of the Y2K. So, everybody was like, oh my God, the world's going to come to an end. And they're like, why are you moving to New York and this? And I was like, I don't know. And then too, I thought the internship was actually a job. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to New York with my little bit of savings. The Y at the time on 135th Street was $50 a night, which was $350 a week, equivalent to $1,400 in 2000. So I didn't know anything, but I was like, I got to go and figure this out. And so at the that was my very first home on 135th Street, the YMCA, until I got kicked out because I couldn't pay my room rent. But that's a whole nother story.
So you go to the Y, you get here. It's not what you think. It's not easy. You are struggling, but you don't necessarily quit. Talk about, like, as a Black woman, I do not want anybody to have the ability to tell me I'm strong anymore. I don't want to be strong. I have called up Jesus on the main line and asked him to please take me off of his strongest soldiers package for 2026. But
Yes.
we know that we get to the place of being tired of being strong because we just have to be it, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit, not about the strength part, but about the strategy. Because anybody who knows you knows, baby, if you're going to do anything, you're going to think about it.
Yes.
You're going to think about it. You're going to assess. You might leap, and it might look like you're leaping with no plan, but you'll be planning. So talk a little bit about how you went from what felt like, you know, disillusionment, disenchantment to, but I'ma still make it.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I did have a moment where I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this, because it got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm hungry. I can't afford this room rent, and I did get, but I had to leave for like a hot second, so I slept at the studio. And sorry, Latifah, but I slept at the studio. I did the whole subway run, not sleeping, but just having somewhere to be. I slept at Port Authority because I didn't have anywhere else to go. But my main thing was, I lied to you not, after a prayer I had one day, the song Please Smile For Me by Stevie Wonder was in my CD, my Sony CD Walkman. Yes, yes, youngins, we had CDs, but yes, we didn't have streaming. We had CDs, but that was the song that when I hit play was the first thing I heard. And I stood on the sidewalk crying because the snow's coming down, and I sat when I went to Latifah's studio, because the office was on one side of the street and the studio was on the other side, and I sat and I was like, okay, what do I do? So, because I was determined I didn't want to go back home. That was the main thing, because, you know, like every family has their thing, you know, and I was just like, this is my time to do what I want to do and not what everybody else in the family wants me to do. So the next day, because I talked to one of the people at the studio, and that's when they were like, well, you know, there's a Y, like literally 2 blocks away. I said, bet. So again, I'm interning. And they're like, okay, well, what we can do to help you out was they put me on what was called per diem pay. So when we did have actual tape days, because I was basically doing production assistant work anyway. So they put me on per diem pay for during the times when we were taping. And then I knew how to wait tables. I had been waiting tables since I was 15, turning 16, because I wasn't quite honest about my age when I got my work permit, because I just wanted my own money. So I got my first little job at Houston's, which was a restaurant on Park Avenue South and 28th Street, to get the money that I needed to survive. And next thing I know, I was hired at Sony Music. So that was a little, yeah. You didn't know that part, did you? But yes. But before I moved to New York, I had applied to be an assistant at any department that would take me at Sony. And when I kind of like, it was one of those things where everything was just trying to like lining up for me. So I know you asked a question about strategy. The main thing was I was just in survival mode, and I've always known how to work. I come from a family of women who were entrepreneurs, you know, and so I knew how to work. I wasn't afraid to work. I wasn't afraid to work 2 and 3 10 jobs to make sure as long as I was staying afloat and I didn't have to ask for help. So that was, yeah.
I love it. And that's just that is the game, especially back then. Like there was no internet.
Oh,
Cell phones were new. And you only had a cell phone if you had the money for the phone itself, and then told everybody, call me back after 9. Like
when the free minutes kick in.
Right. Wait for them free minutes.
Right. What? Because remember, back then you were also paying per text. So all of these things are happening. Things are lining up. Let's flash forward a little bit. to now Cori is out here doing her thing. She's not just surviving, she is living. I mean, there's always a little survival. If you live in New York, survival comes and goes, child. But for the most part, you're living, you're doing the things. Talk to us a little bit about how you got to a place where you said you wanted to tell your uncle's story. Like, tell us a little bit about that relationship, and then how you wanted to kind of, what made you say, this is a story I can tell. Because I feel like a lot of people want to tell stories about people in their, a lot of people want to tell stories just blanketly, and they don't realize, especially in documentary, reaching for the story that is closest to you. In my ex, the one thing he left me that I still use, find the shark closest to the boat.
Okay.
And so the person that is full of wonder and wonderment that is closest to you is a story you can tell. So tell me a little bit about that relationship. Well, we know he put you in the car and brought you to New York. But other than that, tell us about this relationship of this wonderful man. Because baby, when that song come on in a party.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, Uncle Carl and I had a very, try not to cry thing about, but we were very close very early. Because he and my grandmother, his sister is my grandmother, so Carl is actually my great uncle. So he saw in me very early on, and he would tell you, she's different, because again, coming from Baltimore, people do a lot of what we consider conventional things. He said, this child is not conventional. And he was like a father figure to myself and my cousin Kia. He would come to Baltimore, he was always taking us to go music shopping, and he was a late bloomer in driving. And so when he learned how to drive, he loved to drive all the time. And he would drive across country in that Lincoln Town car and just want to just play music all the time. And he introduced me to so many different genres of music, he and my mom. And so we just always had this bond like father and daughter. And unfortunately, when he was transitioning, he called me and he's like, Cori, I need you to come to LA because there's some things I need to talk to you about, how I need my business to go forward. He had already started the documentary before I had even come on, because the filmmaker had reached out to him to tell his life story. Because for those who know the song Born This Way by Lady Gaga, she credits him as her inspiration. So the filmmaker was actually going to do wanted to do a story on Lady Gaga until he got the backstory. It's like, well, wait a minute, this man is, he had this big disco hit from Motown, which was an anthem for, the LGBTQ plus community. Then he started this church, and he started this AIDS outreach situation. And it's like, we need to be talking about him. So Uncle Carl wanted to get my advice on a few things. And so when he was transitioning, he turned everything over to me to take over. And so I had to kind of step in and make sure all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And my main concern was, just making sure my uncle's story was told with integrity and truth. And so when also the filmmaker and the head producer saw some of my background, they're like, oh, she's not just Carl's niece, she's actually an artist. We need to bring her on as one of the producers for the film. And so that's how that all came about. But the main thing was, before this had even happened and Uncle Carl was still living, he and I had already started writing because he wanted to do a one-man show about his life on stage. So it was just, a full circle moment for me that I still got to be able to tell his story in a different way. And I still plan on doing what he wanted to do. But, it was, regardless, if this hadn't even come about, I would have made sure that his life and legacy was told, because there's so many people who stand on his shoulders that don't realize who he is. And then I've had people tell me, oh, I knew Carl as a minister, I knew Carl as an activist, I knew Carl as a singer. I didn't know they were all three the same person. So, it's just, I'm like, yeah, the world needs to know who this pioneer in different facets is, whether he was Uncle Carl to me or not.
Wow, that's actually that's very fascinating. But when I watched the trailer, the question that I had watching the trailer, because I'd heard the song before, and it's just amazing that you hear something and then to know that that this is a family member. You're like, wow, the world is so small. But even more importantly, the year the song was made, or let's say the decade, for Motown to actually make or green light that song in that time frame, because as we all know, it's been a journey for the LGBTQ plus community. And for them to say, hey, we're going to go with this song, and then for it to become an anthem. Because when I was listening to it, I was like, well, why does this song sound so familiar? And then I heard the Lady Gaga version, and I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh. So this is the origin of that. And as Okema said, she gives him credit for that. But I'm saying all that to say, watching the trailer, you had so many people that he influenced through that one song. So can you talk about what it was like to actually sit and watch and listen to so many prominent people in this industry, actors and singers, talk about the profound effect that one song had on them?
Well, we'll talk. So to address this about the song, um, I think what a lot of people talked about, even whether you gay, straight, black, white, whatever, it was just the freedom of being able to be yourself. Because not only do you have the standard song, but so many DJs remix the song. Like it's a house, like there's like house DJs that remixed it, and it's you put that song on. I don't care who's on the dance floor, they're gonna love it. And then you've had other producers sample the song. So two really popular house songs, like they were big, like in the late '80s, early '90s. I think one was called "Dance" by Earth People, and I forgot the other one. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, it's like people are like, oh, I didn't know that was Carl's song. So what I've been told by different people, DJs, people who love to dance, people who just love being around, just people who just love to be around music, is that they just love the freedom of the song, and how it makes them feel, no matter, And then two, it's very like it brings, like I said, it brings everybody together. We're not thinking about what who you are. It's like we're just here to dance and have a good time. And so that's one thing. Now, when we're talking about like some of the people in the film who talk about Carl as an influence, it's a myriad of things. It's not just the song. It's like, for him to say, listen, whether you're gay, straight, black, white, whatever, if you're choosing to want to praise and worship God, you should have a place to be able to do so. There are people who want to go into a church, and unfortunately they're shunned because it's like the world has this thing where they want to judge you on the totality of who you are simply because of who you're choosing to love. Like, as a heterosexual woman, I love to teach, I love to sing, I love to cook. There's many things about me other than just who I choose to love. And so he said, I want to be able to have a place where everybody can feel welcome and feel, that God is love and love is for everybody, And then, when in the 80s, when AIDS and HIV was still very taboo, and especially amongst the Black and brown community, and people were dying and they couldn't get access to help, couldn't get access to just anything that was humane when they were transitioning. And he's like, no, I'm going to go out, and how can I be of help to my community? And so that's how the Minority AIDS Project came about. And so when you have people like Dionne Warwick and Maxine Waters, and these are two different facets of life. You have entertainment, you have politicians saying, we're going to stand with you, because they saw what he was ready to put on the line to be of help to people in this world, despite, how different he was, you know what I mean? So that's why a lot of times when people talk about Carl being the person outside of just the singer or the minister or the activist, is that they love the totality of where his heart was in this world. And that's why, we could call on the people who are part of the film, and they're like, yeah, we're right there, And so I'm like, wow, but this is just who Carl was as a person.
And that's so important. Like, one, shout out to Jerry Henry. Love me some Jerry with his grumpy self. Jerry was the DP on Down in the Valley. Uh-huh. So love Jerry. But no, I mean, and as a queer woman, it's like for 40 something years, everybody knew me as a heteronormative human. And then as an adult, I was like, no, she just fine. And so it's like, even today at this big age of 47, the song is still something for me, because can't nobody tell me about the God I serve. And can't nobody tell me about the servant to my God that I am, regardless of whether I am dating a man or a woman, because I date both, right? And so at the end of the day, having something that allows people, like you said, to be themselves, whoever they are, whatever their claim is, whatever their life is still all these years later. So I love that the documentary brings his music to a whole new audience that is out, because baby, these young people that is out and proud and loud,
yeah,
but still are in seminary, that are leading churches, you know what I mean, that are like, God is love, so don't, full stop. And so I love that he saw the light in you, because anybody who knows you personally knows who you are in here, upon meeting and then getting to know you. And I think that that's probably another thing that connected you and your Uncle Carl, because he saw that, like him, you were a candle and not a spotlight. Because a candle can light 10,000 other candles and it's still going to burn, whereas a spotlight has to shut off in order to light another space. And so
I know, right?
Like your uncle saw that in you and left his legacy in your hands because he knew they were capable. And so that says so much about you as a woman, as a person, as an artist, as a humane human. And for you to be able to then take all that, having been in the world of film, television, theater, but then surround yourself. I mean, your EPs, girl, like the people attached to this film that now are attached to you via this film, the Quest Loves of it all, like just everybody.
Yeah.
How has that, I know you guys have been on this wonderful run and all of it. Has it hit you? Like, have you really taken the time and taken stock of what you've helped do? Because baby, he got the best seat in the house and I know he's smiling.
Sorry.
That's so no.
No, you ain't never. This is one podcast where you ain't never got to apologize for feelings and emotions. Because girl, Floyd cries all the time.
I do. I'm trying not to cry now.
I love it.
Hey, this is a safe space.
Yeah. I think it wasn't until the Tribeca Film Festival that it really hit me, because it was for those who have done documentaries, it's a lot of work involved. It is still and even though the film is at we call picture lock, it's still work that we're doing, even coming into 2026. But it was a lot of work involved for 6 years, and then you especially when you're dealing with all of our opinions at once, working with other executive producers, the director, the head filmmaker, you're like, sometimes we ain't all gelling, and especially for me, because what one person's priority is may not be the next person. And mine was always, no matter the accolades, no matter the awards, whatever, Carl Bean's story needs to be told. So that's what that was for me. So it was a lot of work leading up to Tribeca, which is what started it off. And then when Tribeca comes, you got the red carpet and the flashing lights, and Questlove shows up, and different people come, and you're just like, this is for real, and then people are like, come take this, you do this interview, come do this interview, take these pictures with it. And I'm just like, okay. And then when I'm sitting and watching the film and seeing the reaction of the people, of the work that we put together, it was, my light went up. Sorry, but can you guys still see me?
Yeah, we can still see you.
Okay,
you're fine.
Yeah, that little light went off. But to watch the reaction of the people watching the film and loving it, or singing along, or people who were acquainted with Uncle Carl and they're remembering certain things, and all the different reactions, and then seeing what we finally put together up on the big screen, that's when it really hit me. And then at the end, we had a standing ovation that went for about a good 5 minutes.
Wow.
It just wouldn't stop. And I was just like, I think I did cry when we did the Q&A, because it's like, Uncle Carl, this is for you. This is all for you, and if I had to do it all over again, all of the triumphs and challenge, the trials and triumphs that went on with making the film, I would do it all over again. Yeah.
But do you see how God prepared you for all this with your career prior to this moment?
Yeah.
Had you not been the little girl that packed herself up and went to the Y and did all the things, or the little girl who, got on stage at 14 and blew the people away, you would not have had the understanding of what this is for, what this means, his life outside of Uncle Carl and his activism, and been able to really sustain and push through and execute in the way that you did and contributed to the piece. And then the emotional sustainability that a festival run requires, because it's exhausting.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But baby, you was touring. You know what that like.
Honey,
you know what that life is like.
Listen, I said this year was definitely planes, trains, and automobiles for real. And as a touring, I was a touring background singer for a while, and so it's like, oh wow, I remember this life. You literally changing one set of clothes for another set of clothes, because you're back out on the road and you're flying from one city to the next city, and it's like, but so yeah, I'm great. To your point, I'm grateful that I've had other aspects of my life to prepare me for the motion of this year, but the thing is, it's so funny, again, with the whole full circle moment, is that Uncle Carl was the person who initially, prepared me for these things, even as a child, because, first of all, just being able to love and accept everybody, he told me straight up, this is what it is, this is who I am. And I'm like, I just love you. And if, God is love is for everybody, and that was his motto. And then when I was 14, my very first celebrity outing was when he was given an award for NAACP, and he brought my grandmother and I, and we're in a room with all these celebrities. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. And it was never like, oh, let me go. It was like, no, I got to make sure I'm presenting myself well, because I want to, I don't want to embarrass Uncle Carl, so it's interesting how all of it is full circle, but in a sense that it started with him, because he's been in, the arts and entertainment outside of the church since he was, in his early 20s. So he groomed me without even realizing it, Yeah.
That is amazing. But this film, this documentary has had and is having such an amazing run, like you said, Tribeca, AFI, Me Show, Frameline, Out on Film, so many other festivals. And then when you look at the fact that it was nominated by the Hollywood Music and Media, and then you look at the names that are in that category.
Yeah.
When, you're like, Bono, like that one, that Bono,
Yeah.
that that guy, wow. What's the other guy that I loved as a was it Billy Idol?
Yes, Billy Idol
Yeah,
had
Billy.
a yep.
So
Diane Warren was another one. Yeah.
just amazing company. So can you talk about what it was like to get that nomination, and then when you see the company, and you should be there when you see the company that you're in, what does that do for you? Because as you said, this has been a 6-year journey, a lot of hard work, but you see the hard work. I don't know if paying off is the right term, but you see everything that you've put into it bearing fruit. So what has that been like for you and for the rest of the team that has been on this amazing documentary?
I mean, again, it's just been a wonderful feeling of the fact that, again, well, like I said, the team, we all had, we had a collective agenda, but then, like I said, everybody was like, okay, well, I'm doing whatever reason. But again, for me, it again, just seeing the fruition of the hard work that we've put into it, but then too, for me and my family and I, sorry, but seeing the story of this little Black boy from East Baltimore who migrated West Baltimore, who is now impacting the world through his story, through his heart, through his tenacity, through his resilience, through his vibrancy. It's like, and then just like you said, to see him within the company of who he was with during that nomination. His song is also number 60 in Rolling Stone magazine's top 100 anthems, and it's like it for me. It's a living manifestation of dreams coming true for him, and that I get to see that come to fruition for him. Because he was always been a lover of music and art, but also just wanting to make an impact in the world, answering his call. He, when in the film, it talks about how he left Motown when they wanted him to like kind of sell out a bit. And after he just did this big gay anthem, and now they want him to start singing secular music. And he's like, no, that's not, I can't, do what's not authentic to me. So it's not that deep for me if I'm not gonna be who I want to be, or I can't represent those who are like me. And that's when he decided to answer the call of ministry. So again, just to see that this man who grew up in the 60s, didn't know he could make a kind of impact, but like me, just said, I'm going to go out to the world and see what I can do, and then just to see his story take on this bigger than life thing is, it's still mind blowing to me. I'm still pinching myself every day. Yeah.
And you deserve that. Because I think we sometimes forget that we do deserve unexpected good things.
Yeah.
And that is the bloom of the seed you planted when you said, but I'm still going to stay at the Y. I'm still going to sleep in the studio. I'm still going to figure it out, right? Because we don't realize that those are absolute seed plants. And then we bloom, and listen, the bloom might come 10, 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But they come.
Yeah.
This is his bloom, right? And he has the extension of him, which is you, here to see it and make sure it happens.
Yeah.
So with that, while you're still on this run, because if I'm not mistaken, don't Image Awards get announced next Monday?
Yeah. So I don't know. We've been, picked up for that, but the blessing is that
I would be so surprised if not. If y'all submitted, I would be very shocked if you weren't. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Pew, pew, pew. But with all of that, I know you're still on this run, but what is next for Cori? Because now you've told Carl's story, but Cori's story is still developing and still becoming. Because I know that recently you found out that you were an Adelco award-winning actor, and the play was in like what, 2019?
No, the play.
No, it was longer than that, right?
The play was in 2003, and what
Girl,
happened
bye.
was, right? What happened was during the pandemic, the Adelco Awards was still going on via viral, and the play I was in 2003 had gotten what's called a retrospective award. So I had no idea about it, and I happened to go to a reading last year. I think you know Reggie Barnes. Yeah. So I went to a reading he did, and one of my castmates was there. She said, "Did you get your Adelco award?" I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And when I found, I was like, so what was interesting was, you know, I had been putting a lot of time into the film, and I may be working on another film as a spinoff, because in the film is Estelle Brown, who was one of the sweet inspirations with Sissy Houston. They did backgrounds for everybody from Elvis Presley to, you know, even Uncle Carl on the record. And they want to do her story. Well, they want to do the story of the sweet inspiration. So I've been asked to spearhead that. So we're in talks with that.
Come on, narrative or doc?
Documentary for that one. Yeah. So and then we're also doing a synopsis of possibly doing a narrative of Uncle Carl's story. So we get a little bit more.
That would be fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So we could.
Wish list lead.
Oh gosh. Is it? Please forgive me because I'm looking right at him. Because I tell you, is it Brian Terrell Henry? Is that his name? I got a picture of him side by side when Uncle Carl had just gotten his collar, and I'm like, they look.
I see it. I literally can see it.
Oh my gosh! I said, oh, we gotta figure that out.
Well, Billy can get him.
P.S.
Love me some Billy Porter. Directed him once. So fun.
Yes, he's a sweet. He's a lot, but he's beautiful.
Listen, let me tell you something. It's a lot people that make the industry fun.
Yes, he's a beautiful soul, and you know, I was so grateful to get to spend an entire day with him when we taped the studio segment of the film. So yeah. But if that could happen, when it happens, we're gonna put it out there. So yeah, it's been a lot. I've been, you know, people, you know, to my friends who are watching, I love you dearly, and I know I've been MIA a lot, but
she's been busy, y'all.
But the thing is, you are decently active on social, so it's not like people don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know, but the thing for me is that I just really started locking in on finding my voice again, because you know, life's. You know, I've been caregiving. Even when Uncle Carl was passing, I was with him until he shut his eyes, you know. And so it got to that time when I'm like, okay, now what is it that you want? So it goes back to that thing about the YMCA. A lot of times I tell people, sometimes you have to forget how you feel and remember what you deserve. And I say that because a lot of times I don't feel like I don't want to, whatever. And then it's like, once that moment passes, you're like, oh my God, like, I wish I had of. And so sometimes you got to kind of push past that thing. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Now I need to lock in on where my loves are. So that's when this past year I had an opportunity to get back into acting classes, which is why it was so weird when I found about this Adelco Award, because it was like a full circle moment. I got to record my first single on vinyl last year with DJ Spinna. Shout out to Spinna. You know, so it's just, I guess, it's just been a whirlwind of Cori the artist reemerging. And so sometimes people are like, well, where's she been? And why she's not calling me back or texting me? Like, I love you. I'm now locking in where I was kind of like all over the place before.
They be all right.
Yeah. No. But you know what? It's the truth.
I'm not being dismissive. They will be okay. Listen, I have not been available for the last, I've literally been on the film festival circuit for the last 3 years. Like literally the last 3 years consecutively.
You're one of my heroes. Know that. Know that.
So they will be okay. Yeah. Because here's the thing. They can see you when you're screening, or they can see you at the party, or they can see you at the show and come pay to see you.
Yeah. And you know what?
Y'all can catch a drink or something afterwards. It's fine.
The people that know you're locked in know why you're locked in. And the people that are really rooting for you are just psyched that you're locked in. So if I'm not getting to spend as much time as I would like with Cori, I understand why, because there is a mission involved. So let her do her thing. I'm praying for her. I'm rooting for her. I'm lighting them candles. I'm woo-signing into the universe, putting that good energy out there. And then when things settle after she's done what she has to do, we good. It's only the emotional vampires and the people that are secretly rooting against you. They're like, well, girl, why you can't hang out with me? Or why can't you this and why can't you that? And that's very telling. But again, the people that are really rooting for you and really want to see you win, ain't nobody got no problem with you disappearing for a week or two because they're like, yo, Cori putting in that work. You know, that's just my spin on it. But I have one question for you that I did not get to, because you are an amazing singer. I happen to hear you sing.
She sure is.
You have a 4.5 octave range. Now,
yes,
you got to school me, because I know that's pretty amazing. Can you explain what that is for the lay people like me that may not know what that is? But you have ladies and gentlemen, she has a 4.5 octave range, and she also sings classically in Italian, German, and French.
Where y'all find him at?
Listen.
Stuff.
Welcome to A Conversation with Floyd Marshall.
You know what it is, Cori, in all honesty.
I always like to let him have his shine on this, because I'll do my research, but I know that everybody knows that Carl is a minor. He is a minor for details that are like.
I respect my guests, so I want to know who you are so that we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, so I do a little digging. But 3 languages, 4.5 octave range. I mean, that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah. So how it began is that Minnie Riperton is my muse. Like, I was a kid who loved Minnie Riperton. Like, you know, praise God for my mother like mine, who had such an amazing musical palette that we would listen to all kinds of stuff in the house. And I would try to pattern myself after Minnie. But then you have an Anita Baker that comes along. You're like, wait a minute, that's a whole different dynamic. So when I started vocal training, and we would go through, the scales and things like that, that's when teachers discovered, oh, this girl has range. She can go from, second alto up to whistle tones. And it's like, oh, okay. In my mind at the time when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm just, mimicking what I'm hearing, until, you start to train and cultivate your voice and learning how to use your instrument. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm moving up octaves, moving down octaves. And so that's pretty much, did I explain it?
You did, because I'm saying to myself, wow. And you mentioned one of my favorite artists, Al Jarreau. I was like, see, that's she all right with me. I'm like, she is okay with me. I researched.
Shout out to you whistle tone singers. I am a mezzo soprano. Thank you. Shout out to you whistle tone people. Between you and Layla and Layla Hathaway, who can because I think her and Rochelle Farrell are the only 2 people that can harmonize with themselves.
Bobby McFerrin is another one.
And Bobby McFerrin, yes. And Bobby McFerrin.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So come on and be in good company, sis. Come on and be in good company.
Yes. I mean, listen, I just, what was interesting, I was a late bloomer at classically training. I had been a part of choruses and things like that, and we learned different songs in different languages, but again, it was just chorus. And then, like I said, I had a bit of coaching when I did the live Gifted in Black with David Lockington. He had a coach there to help me with some things for diction purposes. And it was my freshman year of college when I worked with, this is going to trip you out. So if you guys remember the movie Color Purple, and Suge's father, the preacher, his name was Johnny Patton Jr. He was a opera singer, and he was my very first opera coach.
Oh, wow.
And he said, when I was 19 years old, and he said, "Do you sing opera?" And I was like, "Oh, no. I mean, I've sung classical, stuff from, chorus." And he's like, "No, you have a voice for opera." And he was the first teacher that I had, and gave me my first piece of repertoire that was in Latin at the time. And I was like, okay, because I always loved Spanish in school when you take languages in school. So I knew that the basic European vowels are all the same, give or take, consonants, how, it all mesh together when you're talking about Italian versus Latin or whatever. But for the most part, a lot of the vowels are the same. So that helped me with pronunciation. And so I just was able to pick up certain things. And I don't know if you are familiar with a singer by the name of Avia, Jeremiah. His name was Jeremiah Avia, but he was the first person who gave me my first piece in German. So it's like I was able to pick up a lot of things. And next thing you know, I'm singing with Opera Ebony. I sing with the Metro Chamber Orchestra, so yeah.
Wow. So ladies and gentlemen, from the conversation that you've listened to for the past hour,
Oh wow!
Easy to say, yeah, because we just talking. This is how we like to do it. It's easy to see why Cori Robinson is basically a triple threat.
That part.
It is what it is, and if you ain't know, now you know. Like Biggie Smalls, if you don't know, now you know. It is what it is. But this has been absolutely amazing. But before we go, I just have one more question, and I'm sure Akima does as well. What advice would you give any young person deciding that? And since you do so many things well, if someone is saying, okay, you know what? I think singing is a career that I want, or acting is a career that I want, what would you say to that person?
I know what I'm about to say is cliche, and we've heard it a million times, but it's very true, is that you really have to lock in that inner voice of your own, and the inner voice that tells you that you can do it and you want to do it. And I say that because the world's going to come at you hard and fast. You're going to have a lot of voices in your head telling you what you can and can't do. Everybody has an opinion about what you should and shouldn't be doing. But it's that thing that nags at you when you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you think about. That's what you have to lock in on, and just go for it. And I always say, sometimes, like I said before, you have to forget how you feel and remember what you deserve. And I remember I had an audition one day. I had just had a breakup. I just lost my job. All kinds of things that happened at one time. And I had to go on this audition, and I almost didn't go because I didn't feel like it. And some said, just go. And it was one of the best auditions I had because emotionally I was just so all over the place that I was able to put it into the audition, and I landed it. It was a citywide campaign for New York City Wells. I had a commercial and billboards all over the city. It was, and it helped to pay my bills for a year. Praise God. But the main thing is, find that thing that you really, really love and lock into it, and really ask yourself, what am I willing to do to get that to work for it? That means I have to turn off the noise. If people are going to say what they want to say, but this is what I love, this is what I want to do, that's the voice you have to listen to. That's the voice. That's the thing that's going to keep you driven at all times. Even in those moments when you start to doubt yourself, have that conversation. Okay, well, I'm doubting myself in this moment, but what is it that I really want? And then that's the thing that I would say, let that be your driving force. Always.
Amazing.
So basically, go for what you know, y'all. And don't let anyone talk you out of your dream.
Not even you.
Not even, especially not you.
Ooh.
There's enough no's out there. Don't be one of them.
Exactly. Because I'm telling you, the beauty of being this age is
25
that,
plus a little bit.
that's
25.
right, is that, you know, I have seen both sides of really going for it and those times when I lost out on opportunities and things because I talked myself out of it or I allowed others to have those voices in my ears saying what you can and can't do, what you're good and good and not, you know. And then you look back like, well, I could have did that. I could have handled that, you know. But when you're in the moment, you just listen to a myriad of things, including your own self-doubt. So being on this side of the table now, being at this stage of life, I can say, just do it afraid. Do it afraid. Do it whenever when you're fearful, you're doubtful, whatever. That's the time you just gotta push through that and do it anyway. And I'm telling you, I'm living testimony that when you push through those hard moments, the reward on the other side is amazing. And again, I say that because some of the biggest things I've done was through those times when I doubted myself or when I was afraid. And it's like, no, but if I don't do it, am I going to regret it later? Yeah. But now I don't have to regret it because I did it, you know. So just and if it doesn't work out, then that's what you use to say, hey, well then what can I do differently going forward? Or what about this did work that I can expand upon? Because even when we don't get the things we want, there's still a lesson in that, you know. But a lot of times people, oh, this failed, I don't want to do it again. It's like, okay, well then you're never going to get what you want if you give up every time you have a disappointment. I say also to treat everything you go through as a lesson. If you get the gig, great. That means, hey, then I'm good at this. Again, what can I do the next time to grow, expand from this? But again, if it doesn't work out, then what do I need to practice on? What do I need to do to say next time I'm going to land this? And then two, and I'll end this here. I learned too that everything that you think you want is not always meant for you. And as they say, sometimes people's rejection is God's protection. And I got a whole story around that, but that'd be another 30 minutes. But but the main thing is I remember being in my 20s and I was singing backgrounds for somebody really well in the know. And I got, how can I put it? I won't say blackball, but basically when I said no, people started saying, "Oh, she's a problem," and I said, "Well, maybe I'm not maybe I'm not doing I'm not good enough." And it's like, no, I said no. So later down the line, when I'm hearing things about this particular person, and things are coming out, it's like, oh, thank you, God, that I thought that was the best thing for me in my 20s, but now, at this stage in my life, I just can say I walked away from that situation unscathed because God protected me from, So sometimes when you hear the word no to something you think you want, sometimes it's God just protecting you. And in all things, give thanks. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so true. No is a powerful tool. Learn how to use it.
And also it's one word and a full sentence.
Yes.
It's a full sentence.
It is. And to what you said, oftentimes, if you're afraid of it, you're moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Because comfortable people are not afraid. They're just not. If you are moving in your comfort zone, you're not really afraid because that's your comfort zone. But once you step outside that comfort zone and you're feeling that nervousness, that lets you know that you're going in the right direction. Now, fear is a healthy emotion because it can keep you from some stuff. But oftentimes in our line of work, if you're afraid of it, that lets you know that you're moving in the right direction. And the last thing that I will say is this. If you're thinking about a thing and you're saying, well, no, I'm not going to do it because I may fail, you are 100% right. And I always tell people there is a 100% chance that it will not work if you don't try it. But you have a 50% chance of success if you try it. And if you were to give those odds to someone working on Wall Street, like, hey, if you invest $1 million, there is a 50% chance that you can double your profit. They would leap at it. But you're sitting there saying, well, I don't know. And there is a 50% chance that it might work. So try it out and see. You never know.
Right.
That's what I say. But where can people find you, Miss Robinson?
Oh, I'm on social media. I'm revamping my website. I chopped all my hair off and all the good stuff. I used to have a lot of hair, but yeah, I'm on social media. You can find me at Coritainment on it's like Cori Entertainment. It's Coritainment on what do you call it? Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I do have a TikTok account, but I don't know.
Girl, I don't tick or talk. Don't feel no way.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, I can't keep up with Instagram and
it's too many apps.
Too many apps. But yeah, some of my work you can find in the bio of my Instagram page. And like I said, I'm going to be updating some things and hopefully to Spinner going to release my single. But I'm also going to be working on some new music this year. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So yeah.
Well, we are so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, sis.
And, you know, everybody, please support the documentary as it is available to you. Please support Cori. Make sure you're following her on social. Maybe make sure you're engaging with her content and her things. And also just remember that, like, this is all not easy. And it may look fancy, but making a film is expensive. Supporting a film is expensive, you know. And so it's important that you at least like a thing, share a thing, repost the thing. Those are free things for you, but they make the difference in the artist's life. And sometimes you just need to feel like somebody cares besides you. So we applaud you, my dear. As I said, you are a beautiful, bright, flickering candle, and you have never counted it as robbery to light another candle. And so as a result of that, the blooms that you're getting are consistent because you are consistent. So we send you off with all the love. Thank you so much for coming here on a conversation with and playing with us for a little while and sharing with us. And we are here. And so if there's ever anything we can do to elevate, promote, push out whatever you have going on, please let us know. Floyd and I are working on some engagement adjustments and additions to what we do here so that we can be of further use to people after they've been on the show. Yes, we do the clips and things like that, but you know, 2026, we stepping up and stepping out. Yes. So we will, you know, we are here for our guests long after they have left our screens. So thank you and congratulations.
And you stuck with me anyway, so you know.
I mean, there's that part too. There's that part too. But no, we are incredibly proud, and it was an honor to have you today. And I hope that you know that the audience enjoys and has learned some things and has been inspired. And you know, we'll see you on the next conversation with. You want to take us out, boss man?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't top that. So as always, thank you so much for joining us. Myself, the amazing Cori Robinson, fine as hell. My co-host, Okima T. Moore, gorgeous beyond belief.
Yes.
And you know, it's amazing to be in the company of such accomplished Black women.
And an accomplished Black man.
I do my best. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this last hour and change. It was just such an honor talking to you, Cori. It's just an amazing way to kick off 2026 with such a powerhouse guest. And as Okima said, please support her. Please support the documentary in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So if you see Cori Robinson and she's saying, hey, I'm about to kick this new film off, do us all a favor, hit her up and say, hey, where can I send that contribution to help you get that thing funded? Because if you take, you know, I'm just going to leave it like this. Go take a look at the UCLA Diversity Report and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But if we're not supporting us, who will? So again, thank you guys so much for joining myself, Cori Robinson, my amazing co-host, Okima Timor, on a conversation with. And as always, love it like a hobby and treat it like a business.
All right.
Everyone, take care.
Thank you so much.
Don't hang up, Cori.